I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com, and this is the Sharp FX. It's a messaging phone from AT&T. Actually a more high-end messaging phone, especially considering its price. It's $99 on contract, but it does have a 3-inch capacitive touchscreen display. It has a full physical QWERTY keyboard, and it also has a 2-megapixel camera that also captures video. So I'm going to give you guys a full review of it, tell you what I think after testing it for about a week. Now before I get on to the review, I need to add this disclaimer with the phone. This is not a sidekick, okay? It is not a sidekick reincarnation. A lot of people have been comparing it to the sidekick, but it's not. It is a different phone with a different UI and different features. Okay, so if you get this phone expecting to have some sort of sidekick experience, you're going to be sorely disappointed because it's not a sidekick. Now that's not to say it's not a great phone. It is. It's an amazing phone. I think it's a great messaging phone. But it's not a sidekick, so I just have to say that so you guys don't expect that sort of phone, because it's really not that. I really don't think it's meant to be another sidekick. So it's a Sharp FX, accept it as the Sharp FX and nothing else, no other reincarnations or copies or next version or whatever. It's just the Sharp FX. So that being said, I'm going to give you guys a full review of the Sharp FX. But really quickly, before I get on to that, I'm sorry I keep rambling here, but a lot of people have been leaving comments of saying my name the way that John from the Weekly Bone says it, like Sydney, like that, which is cool, and I think it's great, I think it's funny, and I love it. But guys, please do not spam up the comment section. I think it's really great that you guys do that, but to some people it make it annoying. Some people don't know what that means, and so they just see 20 comments of the same thing, and so please try not to spam up the comment section. I ask please that you do not just spell that out using 3 or 4 rows. It's too much, okay? Please be mindful of that and be mindful of the other people that are leaving comments. Enough out of me. Sharp FX from AT&T. I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com. Let's go check it out. So here it is, the Sharp FX from AT&T. And of course, just physically there are a couple of similarities to the Sidekick line of phones like I mentioned in the outset, but it is a different phone with a different UI. You'll notice on the main screen here, you just have these 4 shortcut buttons on the bottom, kind of like a dock basically. This goes to phone, contacts, social net, and then of course a main menu. There's only one screen, although you can slide to either the right, the left, the top, or the bottom. And by doing that, it will take you to a couple of other different shortcuts. So you'll see when you unlock it, it'll show you. So you can go to IMing, My Stuff, Mobile Web, and then Social Net. So if I were to swipe down, it would take me to AT&T Social Net. Going back to the main screen here, the main display, this is a 3-inch capacitive touchscreen display. It's a WQVGA resolution, so it has a resolution of 240 by 400. And I think it's a beautiful display. I've heard a couple of other people say that colors kind of tend to be washed out a little bit, but I really didn't notice that. I thought, to me, the colors looked great and the text shows up very well. So the display looks beautiful. Now if we go to the menu here, you'll see it's just a basic grid. Here in the menu, you'll see some of the options. You do have mobile TV or live TV with media flow. You also have your mobile web, yellow pages, IMing. It does have mobile email support, and so these things are nice features to have. Again, you're going to have to pay for that service or pay for data, but they're definitely nice features to have. The mobile TV, there is a Facebook app, which is pretty nifty. Actually, whenever using the Facebook app, it almost felt like I was using a smartphone because it's very well designed and definitely easy to use. It's going to take a little while to load here, but you also have, like I loaded up in the beginning, that social net. You can use that for Twitter. You can also access Facebook from there, but it's nice to have this dedicated Facebook app. Going back to the hardware, on the front here you have these 3 buttons here for call, send, or different phone functions, end and power, and then a back / menu button. And then these are physical buttons, so you press them. And they're pretty nice. I didn't really have any problems with that. And then on the back, you have the 2-megapixel camera. I'm very disappointed by the camera. I think, with a phone that costs $100 and is definitely a high-end messaging phone, I would expect something much better than a 2-megapixel camera. It's showing me a message there for AT&T SocialNet. If you have any, if any mentions, it will show this. Will ask if you want to open SocialNet to see that. But I would definitely expect something better than a 2-megapixel camera with no flash and no autofocus. It does have 4 times digital zoom, but it just seems like kind of a puny camera for a phone like this. I'll go to the gallery and show you some of the pictures that I took. Okay, so these were taken outside. Obviously, you can see the sun. We'll go over to the next one. There is a bit of a lag. You'll notice pretty much everything that I've loaded, it does take a while to load it. So switching between pictures, when I was loading the Facebook app, everything kind of takes a while to load. But it's not too frustrating. I think it's kind of expected with a phone like this. So, you can't really tell from, this video right now, but close-up shots really aren't that bad. They're okay. Whenever you're doing a close-up shot, it actually comes out very well. But it's the ones that are from, I noticed more than 6 inches away from the camera is when the quality isn't too good. So close-up is great, but then, from a distance it's not too great. And then, of course, since you have no flash, no autofocus, you're kind of just left with a basic camera here. You do have a dedicated camera key right here, which is very nice to have. I didn't really realize how nice it is having that until I had a phone that didn't have a dedicated camera key. Then you have the screen lock and unlock button. On the left side you have the volume rocker buttons, the micro USB port, and the 3.5mm headphone jack, which is very nice to have. Underneath the battery cover here is a micro SD card slot. It supports up to 32 gigs, which is pretty nice. So you have that 3.5mm headphone jack, and you have available storage of 32 gigs. So definitely nice to have that. Here you have the battery. It's a 1240 milliamp hour battery. And the first time that I charged the phone, battery life wasn't that great. It went dead after, almost just barely a day. And so I was pretty unimpressed with that. But on the second charge, I got a little bit more. I got almost 2 days out of it with standard use. And so battery life was pretty good, not too bad. Okay, so moving on to messaging. It does have threaded text messaging, which is pretty nice. I'll show you that really quick. I'll go to my inbox. Whoops. Go to the inbox and see. So you can see it shows up as speech bubbles with different colors. So I think that the interface is great. I'll show you the keyboard. You can see the keys are domed quite a bit. They are set up in a grid format, which sometimes can be a problem considering how close together they are. There's absolutely no separation. But it wasn't really a problem because the doming was pretty good. It's not too high, but it's definitely there. And it may not look very high right now because I can't get a good camera angle, but the doming is definitely something that works to your advantage. The keys aren't as grippy or tactile as other keys that I've used. Some of the Samsung keyboards tend to be more rubbery, whereas this is more plasticky. And I thought that would, be a problem because usually when it's like that, they tend to be too slippery, and so it's hard to type. But I really didn't have that problem. The keyboard was great to use. It really is a nice keyboard. You have dedicated period and comma keys here, which I really like. It makes typing a lot faster instead of having to do function and then find the comma key. You also have navigational arrows here, a number pad, even though whenever you call there is a number pad on the screen, but you have one here as well, .com. So I think the keyboard is great. Another thing that helps is this little wall that's kind of created by the bottom lip here and also the top. So that kind of gives you kind of a stopping place, I guess, so you don't, you have enough room to move around, but you don't slide around too much. So it definitely worked to its advantage. I think that the keyboard is definitely great, and again, it's nice to have the threaded text messaging. Moving on really quickly to the web browser. Messaging phones, the web browser is something that usually causes problems. It's not going to be the greatest thing that you've used. Strangely, this one only works in landscape mode. I'm not really sure why, but there it is. And so, like I was saying, the web browser isn't going to be perfect, and that's kind of expected. but you know, it wasn't too bad. It does come with Opera Mini, so you will have a little bit better experience than on other just basic feature phones. We'll see it's loading right now. You do have 3G, obviously, with AT&T's network, and speeds, you know, are going to vary, but I did notice that it was a bit slower than other phones that I've tested, and it may not even be loading right now. See, I do have 3G, but for some reason it's not loading. You know, but basically it worked okay. I was able to load PhoneDog's website, and you know, it was not perfect, but I think for a messaging phone it was decent enough. Now, you know, going back to physical design, one thing I kind of skipped over, the top panel here where the, you know, keyboard slides out, it is a little bit loose. It's kind of wobbly, and so, and in seeing other reviews and other demo units that people have had, this has been a problem on other units as well, so I don't think it's just mine. But it's a little bit loose, and so just by barely pressing on it, it does kind of give a little bit. And you know, it's not too big of a problem, you know, if you're just holding it or swiping, you know, it's not going to be wobbling too much. But when it does cause a problem is whenever I'm trying to take a picture, you know, I tend to hold it obviously like this, and so just the pressure from my thumbs pushing up from the bottom, it kind of moves it up, you see, so it kind of makes it harder to take a picture using this camera key. So that was just, you know, one design flaw that I think, you know, may bother some people, but overall, you know, it wasn't too big of a deal. So that is pretty much it with the Sharp FX. I think basically, to sum it up, it's definitely a high-end messaging phone. It looks like it. The sleek, solid black finish definitely makes it look very industrial, but at the same time, these curved edges here make it look very sleek. And so I definitely like the design of it. I think the screen is great. Having a capacitive touchscreen is always better than having a resistive touchscreen. It's not up to par with capacitive touchscreens on, say, you know, an iPhone or just any other smartphone out there, the Galaxy S series, but it's not bad. You know, I didn't have too many problems with it, especially when comparing it to other phones, other messaging phones that have come out with capacitive touchscreens, like the LG View Plus. It was definitely better than that. I had less problems. And so basically, I think it's a great high-end messaging phone. The only thing I'm disappointed by is the 2-megapixel camera. I think that they definitely should have done better with that. I think, you know, giving it at least 3 megapixels or at least a flash or even just some sort of autofocus. I think, you know, just giving it 2 megapixel with nothing else to support it is really inadequate, and I think they should have done a lot better with that. But overall, definitely a great messaging phone. Go check it out right now, guys, at AT&T. Thanks so much, guys, for watching, and be sure and keep it on PhoneDog.com because coming up, I'm going to have a dogfight with the Sharp FX and the LG View Plus. Two high-end messaging phones on the market right now, both of them on AT&T. A lot of similarities in terms of specs and price and just overall expectations. So that will be coming up, and of course much more reviews, dogfights, news, all of that will be on PhoneDog.com, so keep it on there. I'm Sydney. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.